Welcome to Powered by Ancestry. I'm your guide and host, Kwesi Kunadu. On this episode, we'll focus on some rituals that I do for connecting with my ancestors. As a disclaimer, these are things that I have done with success, and so if you are interested in doing any of these or all of these, I strongly recommend that you consult with a reputable spiritual healer in your community. Let's get into these rituals. The first ritual that I have used with success is a ritual that involves using a drink to connect or open the channels for your ancestry. And so I remember some time ago, I wanted to reconnect with my grandfather. There's a 9-day ritual that I did that went something like this. The equipment are pretty simple. I got his favorite drink, which was a beer. And because I don't drink, I got sparkling apple cider. Over 9 nights, I would set 2 chairs, one facing the other. And I would sit in one of the chairs, either the right or the left, doesn't really matter. And I would have 2 clear glass cups where I would pour some of the beer into his cup, and I would pour some of the sparkling apple cider into my cup. And I would sit down on one of the chairs facing the other chair as if he was there looking at me. And I would have a conversation with him like I'm having a conversation with you in this moment. And I would speak to him about whatever it is I want to talk to him about, again, as if he's there with me. And once I'm done with that conversation, of course, I let him know that, thank you for the conversation. It's been wonderful. Hope to speak to you again. Once I'm finished with the conversation with him, then I would leave the cups out. Both my cup that I've used with my sparkling apple cider and his cup with the beer in it. I'll leave both of them overnight. And in the morning, I would wash them out. Throw away the beer, wash it out, and I would repeat the same step the second night, the third night, the fourth night, and so on until the 9th night. Over the course of 9 nights, depending upon your spiritual sensitivity and mine, I would either feel, see, or hear his voice. In some cases, I could experience all 3. In some cases, I could experience only 2. And so I would often feel his presence. I would not see him, but I would feel his presence. Or in the case of my dream, that evening before I went to bed, I would see him in my dreams. And at times I would hear his voice and feel his presence. And so over the 9 nights, we're looking for, or at least I was looking for him to register on one of those frequencies, on one of those waves, either hearing, seeing, or feeling. That is the spiritual presence thereof. Now, on the 9th night, I would do the same, leave the cups out, and wash them in the morning. Then I would just take a break. This ritual I could do again, but usually I would give it a break and then do it 9 more nights, depending upon the kind of connection that I wanted. Let's say I only heard his voice, but I want to also feel his presence. I want to also see him. I would do the ritual again after giving it some break, giving it some time. And that ritual is for the connection that I wanted, or reconnection that I wanted with him, because there had been some moments where the connection had not been as strong as I wanted, or it wasn't as solid as I needed it to. And so that connective ritual serves to open the channels between he and I, and to make sure the communication is there, and that communication can facilitate the kind of work we need to do around whatever challenges or triumph that I would have experienced at the moment. Now, that is one ritual among many. Here's another one that I've used with success. I would get a piece of white cloth or calico, and I would put it over a dresser or a nightstand. And then I would get clear glass with water, cold water preferably. And I would put the glass filled with water on top of the piece of white cloth over the dresser or drawer or nightstand. And I would write a note to him, my grandfather, or another ancestor, or even a spiritual force that accompanies me. And I would put that note under the glass of water. And over 3 to 7 days, I would see something in response to that note or question or concern that I have in my dreams. Now, here's how that ritual works. You see, the water acts as a filter of the air. That's why, for example, over 2-3 days, you may see, like I saw, particles, dust particles and other particles in the water. It filters the air. But spiritually speaking, it also acts as a filter, as a conduit for this communication between Ancestry and myself. And so over 3 days, and sometimes over 7 days, I would have seen one or several ancestors in my dreams responding to the question or the concern or the matter that I've written out on the piece of paper below the water. And I would change the water every 3 days, certainly every 7 days, but I definitely every 3 days I would change the water. And so this way, having a fresh filter, having a fresh means of communication or conduit, that water is deeply important, but the ritual is very simple. It is simply a piece of cloth, a cup with water, and a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. Now, that ritual also not only opens up, but it strengthens the connection that you've established with your ancestors over an ongoing period. It also allows you to interact with them. So whereas the first ritual I shared allows you to connect with them, to build a relationship, once you have the relationship started, now it's time for what? The communication. And that's where the note comes in, to strengthen the bond that you have with them and also to grow that bond and the relation that comes out of that bond. Now, there's another ritual that I would like to share with you that one can use for a stronger connection and bond with their ancestry. This particular ritual involves a simple item of 3 cowrie shells. You know what cowrie shells are, right? They're used for decoration, they're used for jewelry, used for aesthetic purposes. But 3 cowrie shells, white cowrie shells, particularly those that have no back. The front looks like jagged teeth. I would put those 3 cowrie shells, after speaking to them, in my hands, telling them exactly what I want in terms of my connection to my ancestry. I would put them on a pillow that is under the first layer of the pillowcase. You can put them on top of the pillowcase as well. Either one will work. I will put them on top of the pillow, whereas the cowrie shells placed to the left and the right, that is the edges of the pillowcase, those will be turned down. That is the jagged teeth area of the cowrie shells will be turned down, whereby the smooth, closed portion of the back will be facing up. And then for the third cowrie shell that goes in the middle of those two, that one will be turned up. That is the jagged teeth will be turned face up. And you keep them there over 3 nights, as I've done. And over 3 nights, I would get particular communication or particular ideas or particular kinds of insights over the 3 days from my ancestry. And the ritual really opens up, once you've established a connection with the ancestry, opens up the communication lines for you to gain, again, those insights, those information through this cowrie shell ritual that you can use anytime, even during a nap. It doesn't have to be at nighttime as well. Anytime this can be used for that communicative connection between you and your ancestry. Now, these 3 rituals are very powerful, very simple, and very practical. They can be used by anyone, whether you're a novice or an expert in these matters, they can be used by anyone. If there's any doubts or questions, kindly put them into the comment section down below. I have been your host and guide, Kwesi Nadu, for this episode of Power by Ancestry. Until the next episode, stay well. See you next time.